Hey, what's going on, everyone? Greg here, and it is now February, which means that we are possibly 1 month away from witnessing another Apple virtual event. And like previous years, there are rumors swirling around about a potential March event with a slew of new products, including a new iPad Pro, an iPad mini, an iPhone SE 3, new AirPods, a new Apple TV, and maybe a few other surprises coming right around the corner. So be sure to jump in early into the comments below and let me know what you're most excited to see. And also, just to say hi while I'm here, because I usually respond to comments in the first hour of posting a video. And also, for those of you who like my stuff, make sure you subscribe, because there's a lot of you who watch my content who aren't subscribed to the channel. And let me tell you, 2020 was an exciting year for Apple. 2021 looks like it's going to be even more exciting, so make sure you don't miss out on any of the videos by subscribing. And like always, if you like the video, just give me a like, and it helps me out a lot. Is that such a cliche YouTuber thing to say? It really is. But anyway, let's talk about what we can expect at this Apple March event and go over all of the products that I personally expect Apple to announce. One of those updates would be an update to the iPad Pro. The iPad Pro hasn't been majorly updated in quite some time, and the last update only really gave us a minor graphics bump and an ultra-wide-angle camera and the LiDAR scanner, which I haven't really been using that much. The iPad is still on the A12 chipset architecture with the A12Z, and the iPad Air has an A14 chip that actually gives it some performance advantages over the iPad Pro in single-core performance. Also, it's just really awkward for customers right now looking at the iPad Air and the iPad Pro, and even though the Pro still outclasses the Air in multi-core performance, it's very weird to see a lowered number chip in the Pro, and I feel like that is such a psychological barrier that Apple quickly would want to eradicate by introducing an iPad Pro with an updated chip. So the first thing we can expect with this iPad Pro is an update with an A14X chip, and after seeing the performance gains that the M1 chip brought us on the Mac, realize that the M1 chip is based off of an A14X design. Now, while the Mac will probably still be ahead of the iPad chip design, it's not unreasonable to think that these iPad Pros will get pretty close in single-core and multi-core performance to what we are currently seeing out of systems like the latest MacBook Air. Like I mentioned before, the iPad Pro is still technically 2 chip generations behind, so expect a major performance bump in terms of CPU and GPU performance. The second big rumor about the next iPad Pro is the inclusion of a mini LED display. This would be a nice jump up in display technology, leading to a brighter display with increased contrast ratios and the ability to view HDR content on an LCD display. The design of this iPad Pro should look identical to what we already have on the current iPad Pro, so don't expect any major design changes, as most of this update will be focused on the more powerful A14X chip and a big focus around the new mini LED display, because this will be the first Apple device shipping with a mini LED display, which again, it's probably going to come to a lot of products, including the Mac lineup, later this year. Another rumored iPad to be making its debut in this spring event is the new iPad mini. Based on leaks and rumors, we're currently not sure of how much of a redesign this product will be. Ming-Chi Kuo said to expect a bigger display in the iPad mini, anywhere from an 8.5 to a 9-inch display. This updated display size, especially if it's around 9 inches, makes it sound like the iPad mini will be receiving the same visual design update of smaller bezels around the entire device, much like the recent iPad Air and iPad Pro design updates. However, there's also a competing rumor from Mako Takara that says the iPad mini will only get an 8.4-inch display, and the bezels will only be slightly reduced. The mini will still retain a very similar look if it's like this design, and it will still have things like a lightning port and a Touch ID home button. Obviously, I think most of us would prefer something closer to the first rumor, with a complete redesign of the iPad mini and the benefits of that new design, like having support for the second generation Apple Pencil. But with not too many rumors out right now, it's just as likely that Apple will give us a more minor update. So hopefully it's the former, not the latter, but who knows at this point. As for other changes, I think we will probably see an update to the iPad mini with a processor bump, and I would kind of expect it to have the A14 chip because when Apple relaunched the iPad mini alongside the iPad Air, they both came with the A12 at the time. Now that the iPad Air has an A14, it just makes sense that this next iPad mini would also get an A14 chip. Now, while I am expecting the iPads to be a major focus at this March event, there are still a bunch of other products that Apple has in their lineup that seem to indicate a release sooner rather than later. So these could also be candidates for a March event. One of those products is an addition to the iPhone SE lineup. Now, while there are some rumors swirling around about a potential iPhone SE 3, this isn't exactly what I think is happening, as this next iPhone SE will probably be a plus-size version of the current iPhone SE with a 5.5-inch display, much like the iPhone 8 Plus. And it will probably have a second telephoto or an ultra-wide-angle camera. But other than that, it is still expected to have the same design as the iPhone 8 Plus, and it is still rumored to be coming with an A13 chip rather than the newer A14 chip. Ming-Chi Kuo said Apple would release a 5.5-inch size version of the iPhone SE in a research note from a year ago, and so far, every phone from that chart, from the iPhone 12 mini to the iPhone 12 Pro Max, have now come out. So the iPhone SE Plus seems like a pretty good bet, and I think a release date in the spring sounds about right. Pricing is the only area that I'm not sure how Apple will approach if they decide to launch this phone. That's because they still have the iPhone XR in the lineup at $500, so they can either get rid of the iPhone XR and price the iPhone SE Plus at $500, or lower the price of the original iPhone SE to $300 to $350, keep the iPhone XR in the lineup at $500, and then maybe price the iPhone SE Plus at $400 or $450. But that's not all, because we are also expecting an update to the original AirPods design in the form of AirPods 3. Apparently, this design will look very similar to what we now have with the AirPods Pro, with the AirPods 3 getting the shorter stem and replaceable ear tips, which means the entire AirPods lineup will be moving to an in-ear design rather than the current design of the regular AirPods, which rest on your ear. The in-ear design will naturally isolate sound and give the AirPods better sound quality than they currently have. Because these new AirPods will look like the AirPods Pro, I also assume that they will have the same charging case as AirPods Pro, and wireless charging will be a standard feature on these cases rather than the optional wireless charging case, which they currently charge an additional $50 for. Now, if you're wondering what the differences between this new AirPods model and AirPods Pro will be, according to Mark Gurman at Bloomberg, these new AirPods will not receive the noise cancellation and transparency mode features that are currently on the AirPods Pro. So these will look like AirPods Pro, they'll probably sound similar to AirPods Pro, but don't expect noise cancellation or transparency mode. Okay, and then there's one more thing that we would expect for this March event, and that is an update to the Apple TV. The Apple TV hasn't been updated since the Apple TV 4K, which came out in September of 2017. So it is long overdue for an update. Apparently, this next version of the Apple TV is going to have an updated remote. The design is going to be changed, so that'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Possibly have the U1 chip inside of it for a Find My Remote feature, so maybe you could point your iPhone around the room, and if your remote is lost, then you would be able to locate it. I lose my remote all the time, so that would actually be a pretty cool feature. Gurman also says that the next Apple TV will have a stronger focus on gaming and have an updated processor inside of the Apple TV. So right now, The Apple TV chip is several chip generations behind. It ships with an A10X chip, so one of the upgrades we really should expect for this device is a much newer processor, with recent rumors saying that Apple will be putting the latest A14 chip inside of the box. So it would have much more CPU and GPU power with this A14 chip, and Apple could, with the right strategy, heavily lean into gaming with services like Apple Arcade. The A14 chip would give the Apple TV enough power to be a respectable gaming platform, and Apple could make exclusive titles that take full advantage of the power of the A14, and Apple could further help this endeavor by making a first-party controller for the Apple TV and by heavily investing into game studios for exclusive games that you can only find on the Apple TV, iPhone, or iPad, and I guess the Mac, with current chips. Hey, what about AirTags? Okay, we might finally see the long-rumored AirTags, which are basically small little circular Bluetooth tracking devices that you can place on items to track them using Apple's giant network of devices. Apparently, they will also have accessories that you can buy with AirTags, like keychains, to easily attach them to things like bags or purses. We have heard about AirTags for so long now. These have been in the rumor mill forever. I'm almost sick of talking about them at this point. But again, maybe we'll see them at this March event. Maybe we won't. I don't even think they exist at this point. I think they are a giant red herring by Apple. But who knows? AirTags maybe, March event. I don't know. Does anyone care about AirTags at this point? Do you guys need to track devices? I feel like I've just been inside of my house for like a year, and like the only thing I'm losing is my sanity at this point. I don't know how much longer I can hang on. Send help. Send help. Please send help. Whew. Okay, calm down. I almost lost myself there. But anyway, that's basically all we know about Apple's rumored March event. Please let me know in the comments below, what rumored products are you most excited to see at this March event? And do you think there will be any other products that I didn't mention that Apple will show off at this event? Also, if you like this video, be sure to give me a like. If you want to see more from my channel, make sure you subscribe. Again, I think 2021 is going to be super exciting for Apple, so subscribe to me. Come on, let's do it. If you want to help the channel out in any way, check out some of the links in the description. If you want to connect more with me, follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, join the Greg's Gadgets Discord, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.